I heard you once talk about the incredible formula of getting out of any bad space, which is, I think, a little bit about what you're talking about now. Can you kind of delve into that a little bit?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
The incredible formula of getting out of space is by helping. If you're in a bad space, or you can't get through
helping
something,
someone else. Yeah,
right?
that's
Which
much
has the
in
same problem.
4,000. Yes, forgive me, folks. And there have been 39 books, and he's asked me to pull one particular line out of it. But now that I know what he's referring to, yeah, I was told in conversations with God, whatever you want to experience, whether it's get out of a bad space or whatever else you want to experience in your life, be the cause of another person experiencing that same thing. You want to experience more abundance in your life, cause another to experience more abundance in theirs. You want to experience more humor in your life, more love in your life, more companionship in your life, cause another to experience those things in their life. You want to experience getting out of a bad spot, help another person get out of a bad spot. Be the source. Here's what God said to me, Neil. I don't want you to be the seeker anymore. It's not your place to be a seeker. Be the source in the life of another of that which you were seeking for yourself. And as you do that, you will experience that you already have it to give, that it was there all along. It's a magic formula that's really incredible, and it works, by the way, every time. So I've decided to be the source of that which I choose to experience in my own life. Or to put it another way, as some guy said a few years ago when he was walking around the planet, he said, do unto others as you would have it done unto you. Really quite simple.
He was a pretty interesting guy, that guy.
I have found him interesting for sure. And quite a bit different from what I thought was true about him when I was hearing about him at the age of 9. When I was 9 years old, the priest came into my classroom. They came in once a week, every Wednesday, for catechism, which is a fancy word meaning the teachings of the doctrines and the dogmas of the church. And the priest came in and told us in 3rd grade, children, you have to remember to go to Mass on Sunday. Because if you miss Mass without a good excuse, if you're caring for a sick parent, or fair enough. Or if you're an adult and you have to go to work, okay. But if you don't have a good excuse, just decide not to go to Mass. If you should get hit by a car, God forbid, on Monday and die, you will be sent to hell.
Yeah.
For everlasting damnation. Because missing Mass is a mortal sin. Not a venial sin, not a spiritual misdemeanor, a mortal sin. And I thought, what? Why? And as it happened, Alex, that was the very week that I did miss Mass. I was going to Mass almost every Sunday. I was a really devout young little lad. But, that was the weekend that we had our big playground World Series, the World Series of Playgrounds. It was our playground against the playground across town. And we were having a little softball game. And it was the big tournament game. And I had to go. I was in the game. And I wanted to go. So I thought, well, I'll miss Mass this. And of course, that would be the week he came in and told us this. Now, that threw the fear of God into me. If you don't think that I was racing to get to confession, because he did allow that if I was confessing my sin and I was given absolution, that I would be, I would be erased from that sentence. But if I didn't so I'm racing to confession because he's telling me this. I'm 9 years old. And of course, they don't have confessions in my parish except on Saturday. So I had to live through the rest of Wednesday, the rest of Thursday, the rest of Friday, and all Saturday morning. I'm not exaggerating. I'm petrified. If you don't think that'll make you look both ways as you're crossing the street, and I thought, God forbid. And I'm saying the old prayer that I was taught as a child. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. And if I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. I was afraid to go to sleep for fear something would happen to me. And I didn't have a chance to go to confession yet, to relieve myself of the awful sin of missing Mass one Sunday in my life. Now, folks, You may be listening to this, you maybe say, well, Neil's exaggerating. Or they might say, well, fair enough, Neil, but that was back in the 50s. Things aren't that way anymore. And you think not? Check it out. Check it out. I checked it out just a few months ago. I wanted to check to see what the Roman Catholic Church's teaching was on this day of our life in the year 2022. And the teaching hasn't changed. Missing church on Sunday is a mortal sin payable by death, payable after death by hell and damnation for eternity.
So you can kill somebody and miss church, and they're both semi-equal as far as severity.
Unless you go to confession and the priest.
Then you're solid. Yeah, you're solid.
Or maybe in the old days, give enough money to the church, because then you could get an absolution. You could get, But this is the God, and I don't want to make Catholics mad at me. This is the God that we've been taught about by many of the world's religions.
Mm-hmm.
A God who is judgmental, condemning, and punishing. It's as simple as that.
Well, I was raised Catholic too, Neil, and I even had those questions. I was like, this doesn't make sense to me. Even when as a young man, I was like, this doesn't make any sense to me. You mean I can sin all I want on Friday night, but then Saturday morning I can go and I tell somebody my sins and you're all good after I tell a couple of Hail Marys and Our Fathers? I'm like, that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me even back then. And then you just start digging into it, critical thinking about these ideas, just like, how can in one hand the God that you're talking about love you eternally, but God forbid if you don't, you step out of line, he will throw you in hell for the rest of eternity.
Yeah, I love you if.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't make any sense to me. So that's why I kind of eventually started to go away from organized religion and started to experiment and start reading and started looking at all sorts of spiritual teachings and religions in the Eastern philosophies and just trying to figure it all out until I found my path as well. And that's why I do this show. And this is why I try to put this kind of energy out into the world.
You know what? And Alex, honestly, I could be wrong about all of this. I don't need anyone to believe me or to accept, what I'm saying any more than they would believe or accept what the priest says.
Right.
We all have to find our own way to God. But my understanding is that God rejects no one because she has no reason to. She has no need to.
It makes no, like, if I have kids, I would never do anything. I wouldn't, just because they talk back to me or break one of my rules, I'm not going to throw them into hell for the rest of their, or excommunicate them. Like, that makes no sense. So even just the love of a father or a mother to a child is eternal. How could God,
and beyond that, how could God even be hurt, offended, injured, damaged, angered, or frustrated in any way? If God really is all that is, the all power in the universe, the almighty power, what in the world would cause God to be so offended because you missed church on Sunday to send you to hell for? But of course, it's not true. The church used it as a tool, just fear, to keep you to keep the pews filled with people.
Well, of course,
because if you're a good person, you're a God-fearing man.
To watch the full video, click on the link below, and don't forget to subscribe.